When we opened the film in New York at a small cinema, probably about twice the size of this, I was asked to talk before the film, and I said, and this was to an audience that I think certainly Meryl Streep and the aristocracy of American acting were there, and I said, I'm so proud to have made a film with the four best actors in the world. And there was a gasp of horror. However, since those four actors were Judi, Jim, Kate Winslet, and Hugh Bonneville, I don't withdraw my words. Anyway, making the film, unusually for Judi, you actually read the script, didn't you, before you agreed to do it?
I think I did. I think it was one of the few films that I've ever actually read the script for, because I like best to be told the story. And I love to be told the story, especially by the person who's going to direct it. So that because then you kind of somehow have your own pictures. I'm not good at reading, but I did read that one. And did you, Jim?
I think I did, yes. I'm sure I did. And I thought, I think there's been a bit of a mix-up here. So I thought, very, very lovely script, Richard, but I don't think I'm right for it. So it took quite a long time trying to persuade Richard that I shouldn't do it.
So I did have to talk Jim into it. And the real danger of it all was not that casting two utterly brilliant actors, but there was the older John and Iris and the younger one, and I had absolutely no idea whether it was going to work or not until the first time I saw a cut from older Iris from Judi to Kate, and actually you don't look much alike, do you?
Well, she's very tall.
Yeah. Well, no,
so I can't
taller.
see, she said. I can't see. But I don't think we do look alike really at all.
But the weird thing is that it was entirely acceptable. And the composer of the film, James Horner, who did the score and also done the score for Titanic, thought that Jim and Hugh were the same actor.
Yeah. And I think that's probably why I got an Oscar. Because it was we could do some of the American journalists said, well, Mr. Broadbent, Judi took the older Iris and Kate Winslet, but you played both parts, didn't you? No, not actually.
But that was before Hugh was a megastar. Yeah. Is Hugh a megastar now? Downton? Yes. I didn't know Paddington. But I remember the producer, who was the notorious Scott Rudin, our friend, sometimes. Scott Rudin would not take my word that Hugh Bonneville was a wonderful actor. So we had a reading, didn't we, round my kitchen table,
yep.
Which was essentially, as Hugh said to me, I'm being auditioned, aren't I? And it was true. It was true.
Well, I'd done habeas corpus with Hugh at the Donmar, and unbeknownst to me, he does a very effective impersonation of me. So I think he knew also that if I was impersonating John Bayley, he knew how I would do it. So he did. And he obviously convinced whoever needed to be convinced.
Jim, did you ever meet John Bayley?
Yeah, only on the at the premiere, I think. He kept away, didn't he? So I never got to meet him
He was thrilled with your performance.
Was he?
Yes, he was. He was. I went to a viewing where there was about half a dozen people. John was there, and his then wife was there, and a few friends. And everybody towards the end was sobbing, except for John Bayley. And John was sort of quite straight-faced, and afterwards he said, frightfully good. That person who plays me is, yes, frightfully good. But I remember we were filming in Oxford, and we were driving around Oxford, and I said to Judi, and this is characteristic of the way Judi researches a part, I said, would you like to see the house? And she said, yeah. So we drove to the house, we stopped outside their house, and I said, would you like to go in? She said, no, not at all. I said, that's their car. And you looked at the car, which was a sort of Fiat 500 thing, wasn't it? And you have never seen such decay on a car.
Yeah. And the key, and the ignition key in the car.
In the car.
Outside.
And I said, have you seen enough? And Judi said, yep. and that's so characteristic of your way of working, that you take what you need. And whenever I say, and Judi said, no, I don't need to know that. No, you
Not
do.
always. That's not true, Richard.
No, it's not true. But what I love is, because some actors want to talk to you about, the characters' grandfathers. And it's a form of vanity, really. And you just I need the essential information in order to play the part. And you're a bit like that, Jim, aren't you?
I don't know. Probably, certainly not too deep into the backgrounds, really. If you get it, you get it.
But I remember at the time that, am I right? Is this right, my memory? That your ma and Jim's ma both had Alzheimer's.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I remember that being an incredibly strong reference for me.
Yeah.
And not that either of you spoke about it for any length of time, but how you get clues from clues from people who are associated with it, and that for me, because I didn't have that that kind of thing to draw on, because at that time I didn't know anybody with Alzheimer's myself.
I remember telling you about my mother and how she would go down the corridor of the nursing home doing little arabesques, and you picked up on that instantly. That's good. Yeah, exactly that.
And in almost the final shot of the film, you're going down the corridor in a care home, doing these absolutely beautiful movements.
Was that me?
Well, it was a sort of simulacrum of you. Yes, it was sort of. I love the way that you don't like to be told too much, and you never like to be given a line reading, which
you of all people know that, Richard.
Yeah.
You direct people, I've never heard you in all the things we've ever done together. I've never ever heard you give somebody a line reading. Once you give that, because that. The only thing the actor, I'm probably teaching everybody, to suck eggs, but the only thing the actor then thinks of is the way the person has said the line, not through to the person. Is that so, Jim?
Absolutely, yeah.
But
So
it
you-
sometimes drives you absolutely bonkers that you don't say, look, it's just not, that's not for God's sake. It's just the wrong emphasis. And I never say that unless I've really lost it. Which I can.
Well, you also, perhaps people don't know, you do it all with enormous humour. I remember Michael, my husband, used to say, he only said it, I think, about one actor I know. He used to say, you run to work. They make, one director, I should say, not actor, that you run to work with them. And that is true of you, Richard.
Well, thank you,
It
Jude.
is true, because because you have an informative, but you also have a wonderful time doing it, so that it's not oppressive rehearsing.
I love rehearsing. I mean, I sometimes think in the theatre there's just too much, talking round the subject. And nowadays, I want to say to the actors, could you turn up knowing your lines? So I don't have to spend the middle of rehearsals just looking at the script, prompting you, because that's so intensely boring.
But I've always, now, partly because of age, but would always try and learn it beforehand. Is this now more usual? Or is
I don't know
other
that
actors, or is it just
is.
older actors?
I think it's just older actors. And one of the reasons that American studios love working with British actors, they turn up knowing their lines and being prepared to rehearse, whereas a lot of American actors just think, no, you've got to explore it and explore it. I mean, I remember when Reds was made with Warren Beatty directed, they used to go to 50 takes at least. This was on 35 mil in a studio, 30 takes, just so the actors could learn their lines, so that Jack Nicholson and Warren Beatty could spend a day learning the lines. I find that unforgivable.
Me too.
Absolutely.
Me too.
But, given it's a small budget. When the film opened in New York, I don't think you were there. Were either of you there? You might have been there, Jim.
I think I was.
We had a sort of swanky premiere. You weren't there, I'm afraid. Anyway, at the swanky premiere, I saw across the room Lauren Bacall, Betty Bacall. And Betty Bacall, who I knew quite well, said to me, Richard, and beckoned me over. And she then gave me an ear bashing about, no, actually, this is Notes on a Scandal. Sorry. She gave me an ear bashing about how I'd ever allowed Judi to appear in a scene where she was sweating in a bath, smoking a cigarette with no makeup.
No clothes.
No
never mind,
clothes.
No makeup.
And she said, Richard, this you should be ashamed of yourself. I don't remember Betty's view of Iris, but I think she would have been similarly critical that you had naked scene in the shower with Penelope Wilton.
Oh, so we did. Oh, I'd forgotten.
Yeah.
We had a very good laugh, I remember.
Yes. And anyway, my memory of the film was that it was a joyful film to make. And this is in spite of the fact that, Jude, you showed the most amazing stoicism, because your husband had died, I think, 2 months before we started shooting. And you never gave in to grief. And I've always thought this, one of your very many virtues is your magnificent courage and stoicism, and that's one of the many reasons why we all love you. So, should we watch the film?
And it's your birthday tomorrow?
Don't start.
Yeah.
Don't you start. Don't. Oh, no. That's required no work to get here.
No, but it's quite required work to stay there. Anyway,
Oh,
thank you
it's
very
your
much.
evening, Richard.
I
It's
do
your
hope-
evening. I'm glad we're all here.
I do hope you all enjoy the film. If you hadn't seen it before, and if you have seen it before, I hope you still enjoy it.